Dennis John Abrahamsen was born in December of 1968 in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Those who knew him called him Scooter. At some point, he drifted south to Florida, landing in Pasco County on the Gulf Coast side of the state. Scooter was a burly, hard-living biker who ran hot in every direction. He loved motorcycles, women, and strip clubs. His friend Dan Armetta described him as an entrepreneur, and that word covered a lot of ground. Records show he built several businesses across Pasco County over the years. A towing company called Scooter's Towing and Recovery, an auto body shop called Constant Perfection Auto Body and Restoration, and eventually, Embellishing Tattoo and Body Piercing Studio. Tora McDougall, a tattoo artist who worked at his parlor, said that he was down for anything. Scooter found himself on the wrong side of the law from time to time, and at this point in his life, he had just finished serving a 3-month jail sentence. In fact, the only pictures that I could find of Scooter are his mugshots. Before the events of today's story, he had been home for only 10 days. His house on Sycamore Drive in Newport Richey was set up exactly the way you'd expect a man who knew how to have a good time would have his house set up. He had a hot tub, a massage table in the living room. Scooter liked to host, if you will. Host women who would be willing to massage him for a price, and much, much more than that.
This story has a second chapter, and it starts in Albany, Georgia with a woman named Amanda Bailey. Amanda was born on January 2nd, 1982. She grew up with a pretty conventional picture of what she wanted the future to look like. She dreamt of a big house, a couple of kids, and a stable life. But that picture cracked before she got a chance at it after Amanda got pregnant during her senior year of high school and dropped out to take care of her daughter. Then, when Amanda was just 19 years old, her mother died. By her own admission, losing her mom sent her into a downward spiral of drug use. By her early 20s, Amanda had settled in Leesburg, a small town in Lee County not far from where she grew up. That's where she met a police officer named Logue under not so pleasant circumstances. He was responding to a call at her house. Now, some sources claim this was a domestic call, and others say this was in response to her being in possession of drugs. But instead of just processing her through the system, he saw something in her worth believing in, and he told her so. He encouraged her to quit the drugs and change her ways. And it worked. The two began dating and were married within a year. Things were going well. Amanda had a job at a car dealership and did modeling on the side. One of her photos ended up on the cover of a local flyer, which opened more doors for her. It looked like she was finally turning a corner, and the couple were happy together. But this all changed when Lamont was in a serious car accident. The injury forced him off the police force, and the income that had been holding everything together was suddenly gone. Amanda's modeling work shifted to cover the gap. The shoots got more risque, nude content, then bondage, and then fetish material. The money was better than anything she had made before. By late 2007, she was regularly appearing in adult films under the stage name Sunny Day. According to Lamont and Amanda in separate interviews, she did not like the industry at all. For a while, she would only tolerate doing scenes with other women, until the offers coming her way were too good for her to pass up doing them with men. Lamont wasn't getting disability checks, and this was the most lucrative thing available to her to keep the bills paid. In October of 2009, Amanda was hired by a production company called Forbidden Gem for a week-long film shoot at a rental house in New York City. In terms of money, it was one of the best offers she had gotten thus far. Among the other cast members hired from modeling and talent websites was a man named Jason Andrews. According to Jason, he was born in London, raised around Chicago, and known in that city's Lakeview club scene under the name DJ Veritas. He was tall with a British accent. He performed in adult films under the name Addison and had a following in the gay industry, though friends described him as straight and said he did that work solely for the money. According to a friend, he just did it to make money basically. That was it. It wasn't something he liked to do. But whether or not he was solely doing this for pay has been disputed. He also claimed to have served in the US Marine Corps, which has also been disputed. At the Forbidden Gem shoot, he apparently gave producers a military ID that showed the rank of corporal. Florida-based model Kristen Cameron would later tell reporters she was skeptical of his military stories. A nightlife photographer in Chicago named George Zelikowski described Jason as magnetic in the club, saying that he had girls and boys all around him. They just sort of fawned over him. He seemed kind of eager to please, trying to fit in, like he was out of his element. He noticed that something about him was always a little off, adding that there was an unstable element about him. It was kind of like walking on eggshells with him. Jason, he said, had a habit of turning bitter and angry without warning and was constantly fighting with himself. George said Jason had told him he had seen people killed during his military service, and that one night at a bar after a veteran lost his temper nearby, Jason brought up post-traumatic stress disorder. He remembered what Jason said. Some of us know how to hide it pretty well.
At the Forbidden Gems shoot in New York, Jason and Amanda connected immediately. By the end of that week, when the rest of the crew had flown home, Amanda and Jason stayed in New York together. She planned to secretly leave Lamont and go to live with Jason, and Lamont caught her in the act. Lamont was out of the house when he came home to find Jason helping Amanda move out. A heated argument ensued, which led to Lamont pulling a gun on Jason after Jason had threatened to kill him. Jason was banned from Lee County as a result, but Amanda wasn't deterred. By March of 2010, Amanda quietly left her husband, abandoned her daughter with her father, and moved to the Tampa Bay area to be with Jason without telling anybody what she was doing. Their social media accounts became a running diary of their life. Beach days, hotel shoots, the Exotica Expo in Miami Beach, cocktails, and photos of the two of them grinning and hugging. Amanda described Jason as the love of her life. Meeting Jason changed Amanda in ways that had nothing to do with their shared line of work. The woman who had reluctantly entered the industry to keep the lights on now didn't want to leave it. Her old behaviors, such as her heavy drug use and petty crime, became part of her life once more. According to Amanda, sometime during this period, Jason let something slip. He told her he got off on the idea of killing someone. Amanda claims she thought he was just saying things. On May 14, 2010, Jason posted to Twitter, "The real Sunny Day and I are killing time waiting for a party to find us."
On the evening of May 14th, going into the early hours of May 15th, 2010, Scooter was out at a local strip club with two friends, Maynard and Lisa Benschettel. At some point, the three of them decided to move the party back to Scooter's place on Sycamore Drive. Scooter knew a woman who went by the stage name Sunny Day. She was an adult performer who also did private erotic massage appointments. He called her up and the four of them spent the night in the hot tub drinking and hooking up. The party was videotaped. The Benschettels noticed something that struck them as odd early in the evening. Sunny kept checking her BlackBerry phone every few minutes. Eventually, Maynard and Lisa called it a night and left around 5 in the morning. That left Scooter alone with Sunny. What the couple didn't know was that Sunny Day's real name was Amanda Logue. She was in constant contact with Jason Andrews. He was parked outside in his car waiting. When the Benschettels left, Jason was still out there. The messages kept going, and don't worry, we will share what these messages were later in the story. At some point after 5 in the morning, Scooter lay down on the massage table in his living room. Jason later described what happened on tape while he was in custody, saying, "I struck the first time very, very hard, and he would start twitching and I'd strike him again with the hammer. I could see the hammer disappearing into the back of his skull." Scooter was stabbed multiple times in the back and bludgeoned with a handheld sledgehammer. Detective William Lindsay of the Newport Richey Police Department, who worked the investigation, later described the scene saying, "The back of his head was caved in. It was a very violent death." Another detective later told reporters they immediately left the scene and went back and had sexual intercourse. It was almost as if they were turned on by the violence that was about to happen. They left Scooter's house with $6,000 in cash, his credit cards, a video camera, a laptop, and a digital camera. Amanda would later claim that Jason was going to collect the bloody knives, the sledgehammer, and the surgical gloves in a blue laundry basket and take them with him, but he didn't do that. Approximately 18 hours after the murder, Scooter's cousin came to Sycamore Drive because he wasn't answering his phone. Inside, he found Scooter face down on the massage table, blood splattered on the walls and the ceiling fan. A silver toy was still on the massage table. Officers recovered a bloody sledgehammer and 2 knives at the scene. Pasco County Sheriff's spokesman Kevin Dahl confirmed that Scooter had been the victim of homicidal violence. Investigators initially wondered if this was a revenge killing. Perhaps Scooter had wronged somebody through one of his businesses. They began going through his phone records. His last contacts pointed them to the Benchettles, who described the night and the woman who had been there at the end of it, a performer who went by Sunny Day. They knew her real name was Amanda, but they didn't know her last name. The detectives also noticed something odd. The texts going from Scooter's phone to Sunny's number were actually being forwarded somewhere else, to a number registered to a 26-year-old named Jason Andrews. Investigators also pulled the video footage from the party. From it, they were able to identify Amanda Logue.
On May 18th, Amanda and Jason were arrested in Pinellas County for shoplifting over $67 worth of clothing from a Beale store in Largo. One interesting piece of information regarding the shoplifting footage is that Amanda would hold the clothes up to the security camera and wave them around before making it clear that she was stuffing them in her bag. For a seasoned shoplifter, this seemed like a, very strange behavior. Almost like she wanted to get caught. Investigators found that Jason had Scooter's credit card on him, and records showed that he had spent roughly $400 all at a Home Depot. Detectives questioned the couple about the murder and released them as they did not have enough to hold either of them on homicide charges, yet. Amanda told detectives she had given Scooter a massage that night and that he had fallen asleep. She said she had left before dawn. She acknowledged being in contact with Jason, but wouldn't directly say what they had discussed. On May 22nd, Jason posted one final public message. He wrote it in Hebrew, which read in part, "Amanda, please let me know that you're okay, really. My heart can't bear the unbearable weight of my fear that I might never see you again." After not hearing from her for 3 months, Lamont Logue, Amanda's estranged husband, received a phone call from her. She told him she had made a huge mistake and needed to come home. Lamont drove several hours to get her. Amanda said in a later interview that she intentionally did not tell Lamont what happened until they got back home. Investigators showed up at Lamont's house wanting to talk with Amanda, but the former cop knew what was going on and said nobody was talking to anyone without a lawyer. However, the investigators insisted that Amanda wasn't a suspect and that they needed her help to build a case against Jason. Whether this was true or not, your guess is as good as mine. The detectives later mentioned in interviews that their main theory at the time was that Amanda wasn't an active participant in the murder and was essentially a victim herself. Lamont and Amanda both agreed, and she sat down with detectives once more for a recorded confession of everything that happened. Amanda portrayed herself as someone who had been blindsided by Jason during the massage, who rushed in and started bludgeoning Scooter. She said afterwards that Jason grabbed her head and held her face to Scooter's head wound and told her he would kill her if she told anyone. Detectives were satisfied with her story. They took her confession and left without arresting her. Given how Amanda seemed to have gone out of her way to get herself arrested for shoplifting, police believed that Amanda truly wanted to get away from Jason because she was in danger. However, they would soon find evidence that completely contradicted Amanda's version of events.
2 weeks after the murder, investigators got a break. DNA from a wooden-handled knife recovered at the scene matched Jason Andrews. But not only that, they had Jason and Amanda's BlackBerry phones, and the text messages showed that Amanda was right. Jason was truly a cold-blooded killer. But what she conveniently left out was about how much the idea of murdering someone excited her too. Allow me to share some of those texts with you right now. "I'm so glad you're really committed to this take. Keep an eye out for a knife, etc. for me." With Amanda here saying, "God damn, I want to after we kill him. Just get him on his face, either bash or tell me to get in and where to go. Kay, I'm horny. I'm getting him to play music. Wicked, I'll just be waiting. Really, take your time." And there's many more texts similar to these as well. On May 27th, 2010, Amanda Logue was arrested at the home she shared with her husband. Allegedly, she was yelling and cursing out the police as they took her away. She was charged with first-degree murder and held without bail. June 8th, she was transported to Pasco County's Land O'Lakes jail in Florida. After the DNA match, police issued a warrant for Jason, who had already vanished. 2 months after the murder, U.S. Marshals tracked him to Chattanooga, Tennessee. He hadn't exactly gone underground. With help from his brother and a friend, he had walked himself into a management position at the Chattanooga Billiard Club, an upscale pool hall and cigar lounge, using his real name and social security number, going through 3 full rounds of interviews and apparently impressing everybody he met. Apparently, what helped lead to his arrest was that he was dating a woman who got the idea to look him up online, only to find out that he was wanted for murder. When the Chattanooga Police Department and U.S. Marshals moved in, Paul Saleko of the U.S. Marshals Service described the scene, and I quote, "I would say he was very surprised. He was very clean-cut, broad shoulders, dressed in a suit, not in a suit and tie, but more Miami Vice, more of a GQ appearance." Jason was extradited to Florida and held at the Land O'Lakes Detention Center. Around this time, he admitted to police that his British accent was fake, completely fake. He was never born in London. He was actually born in Kansas. He spoke with a British accent because he felt that it would make him more interesting to people. Similar to somebody else we covered that was also tried for murder, Jeffrey Munt of the Jamie Carroll case. Apparently, if you're a weird dude, you think that speaking in a British accent when you're not actually British makes you more appealing to people. Now, in July of 2010, a Pasco County grand jury indicted both Amanda and Jason on first-degree murder charges. Jason said he wanted to be fast-tracked to the death penalty. But on January 25, 2012, Jason stood before Circuit Judge Michael Andrews in Pasco County, and he pled guilty to first-degree murder in exchange for life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jason's own defense team had brought the deal to the prosecutors. Whether Jason got cold feet on the death penalty or his lawyers talked him out of it, we will never know. Assistant State Attorney Mike Halkitis said Jason's own words had sealed it, and I quote, "He actually said I didn't know Mr. Abrahamsen. I killed Mr. Abrahamsen. It was a terrible thing I did. I will never be able to live with myself." Scooter's loved ones were there, and Jason apologized to them. A relative replied to him, "You should rot in hell. You shouldn't breathe the same air we breathe." 4 months later, on May 21st, Amanda appeared before the same judge. She had been scheduled to stand trial that week. Instead, she pled guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for a 40-year prison sentence. She received credit for time served from her arrest date in May of 2010. Amanda did not speak during the hearing beyond short answers to the judge's questions. Scooter's cousin, Donna Rella, was the only family member who addressed the court. She told Amanda, "You're not a person. You're an evil being. I hope any time you close your eyes, he comes and haunts you for the rest of your pathetic life. He had a family. You have taken him away from us all." After the hearing, Donna shared exactly what she thought about the deal. "I'm not happy. He didn't deserve to die." She said she had been surprised on some level to learn that Amanda, who'd once been married and attended church, had children, and still did this. Scooter's friends were not quiet about how they felt. His close friend, Dan Armetta, said, and I quote, "I was hoping they'd give them the needle. It just sickened us that 2 people could do such a thing." Family friend of Amanda named Daryl Dobbs had a different take. When she was first arrested in 2010, he told reporters, "When the devil pops his head in, we succumb to what the devil wants us to do." For the detectives who worked the case, the text messages were something they had never seen before. According to Detective William Lindsay, "In my career, I've never come across somebody talking about getting sexually excited about committing a murder." As for Lamont Logue, he remained married to Amanda after her conviction. In a 2013 interview with Oxygen, Lamont talked about wanting to make this work, with Amanda mentioning how she was fooled by Jason and credited Lamont for staying by her side. However, a quick peek at Lamont's social media account shows that he may have moved on with a new woman. As for Amanda, someone appears to be keeping up her Twitter account still, and as of 2024, she's missing Jason now and forever, and trying to prevent the death penalty for Wade Wilson. That, as you'll recall from our earlier coverage of his case, did not happen.
Scooter's funeral arrangements were placed in the care of Dobie's Congress Chapel on Congress Street in Newport Richey, Florida. His obituary ran only 3 lines, which read, "Abrahamsen, Dennis J. Scooter, 41, died May 16, 2010. He is survived by his aunt, Dottie Rella, cousins Vincent, Donna, and Don, and many loving friends."